Hello, ABA families. I hope everyone is staying safe and healthy at home. Today, I will be discussing correction procedures. Before getting into the details of a correction procedure, let's discuss why it's important. First, correction procedures are implemented when a learner gets something incorrect. It is an important part of teaching skills because it allows the learner to have multiple learning opportunities. It aims at enhancing learning by giving the learner multiple opportunities for reinforcement by breaking down skills at a level and speed suited to their teaching needs.
Here are the 5 steps of a correction procedure. The first step, you give the SD and extinct incorrect answers or responses. The second step, give the SD for a second time and be sure the learner gets the answer or response correct. The third step, which is also known as the transfer trial, you give the SD for a third time and you need to lessen your prompt and reinforce appropriately. The fourth step, which is also known as the distractor trial, is when you incorporate 2 to 4 mastered skills for the learner to do. And the fifth and last step is when you give the SD for a fourth time, and during this step, you need to use an even lesser prompt or no prompt at all. Remember to provide reinforcement appropriately. Important parts of a correction procedure are an SD, a transfer trial, and a distractor trial. An SD, or a discriminative stimulus, is the circumstance or action that comes before reinforcement. So this is what you will say or do to get your learner to do the desired behavior. The learner knows that if they do the desired behavior, then they will earn reinforcement. During a transfer trial, you are transferring stimulus control from a more intrusive prompt to a less intrusive prompt. So this is fading out the amount of prompt or assistance given to the learner. Distractor trials are typically 2 to 4 mastered tasks that are given to determine whether the learner has retained what they previously learned. So this is 2 to 4 mastered skills that the learner can do independently. Now that we have discussed important parts of a correction procedure, let's watch a correction procedure of receptively identifying the letter B.
Touch B. Touch B. B. Touch B. Nice job. High five. Touch your nose. Do this. Touch B. Great job. Have candy.
Let's watch the correction procedure again as I break down the steps.
Touch B.
I gave the SD of touch B. When the learner got the response incorrect, I extincted the response by not responding or acknowledging the incorrect answer. Often we are tempted to say things such as, try again, or that's not right, after an incorrect response. However, by doing this, we could unintentionally reinforce an incorrect response or answer. So after an incorrect response or answer is given, do not say or do anything.
Touch B.
The second time I gave the SD of touch B, I used the appropriate prompt so that the learner was sure to get the response correct. So in this case, I gave a physical hand-over-hand prompt.
B. Touch B.
The third time I gave the SD, this is considered the transfer trial. Remember, during the transfer trial, you want to fade your prompt level. Previously, I gave him a physical hand-over-hand prompt, and now I am fading my prompt to a gesture or point prompt.
Nice job. High five.
So after giving the SD 3 times, then the learner will perform the distractor trial. Remember that during the distractor trial, you will have the learner perform 2 to 4 easy mastered skills. In this case, I had the learner give me a high five, touch his nose, and then knock on the table.
Touch your nose. Do this. Touch B.
After the distractor trial, you will give the SD for a final time and use an even lesser prompt than before. Often during this trial, the learner does not need any prompt at all and is able to answer the SD correctly. Remember that reinforcement is a very essential part of teaching, and it is very important to reinforce accordingly. So at the end of this correction procedure, I reinforce the learner with a piece of candy.
Great job! Have candy.